these are my friends. Come along with me, see how the story ends.
Force it off.
Sometimes we all need a reminder. Welcome back to another episode of Professional Hippies. We're your hippies, Colton and Dylon.
DeLone.
A man with many names. Hey, if you've been enjoying our episodes, one way you can really help us out. By the way, we are stunned that so many of you subscribe to the show. Super cool. If you want to be another member of that tribe, join today. It's free for now until we build out the OnlyFans sub model. But yeah, hit that subscribe thing. It keeps us on your algorithm, keeps us engaged with making content that you might love, you might not. But today, you get to hear the inside of our brains, and that should be truly frightening because normally we bring you high-quality guests, and today we only have the voices that echo inside our own chambers. So,
good luck, everyone.
Yeah, did I miss anything on that, Dylan? I think that was pretty comprehensive.
No, the trial does last for a lifetime, so
right. Turn, cough, yeah.
Mute button every now and then. The trial lasts for a lifetime, though. So once you hit that follow button, we will not be following up for money. So
unless the bottom drops out and Spotify goes bankrupt,
I don't see that happening. And then Apple Podcast keeps it going for us,
well,
And then if they drop out, YouTube,
TikTok,
yeah, dude, TikTok has been going through. Did you watch that whole trial at all?
I couldn't watch the whole thing. I couldn't.
It's not a trial. It's a questioning. They were asking him some of the dumbest questions.
So why do they do that? Like they did that with Facebook, and they do this with so many companies. Like, that's just them informing the Congress of, like, the Congress is trying to. Are they doing it for a dog and pony show? Because like they're probably going to do whatever they're going to do anyway.
I just don't know why a congressman that obviously doesn't know what he's talking about just doesn't get like an advisor that does know what they're talking about and be like, I brought a nerd with me. He knows what he's talking about. He's going to ask you the questions.
Well, the congressman I told you about, I don't have that in my notes. Jeff Jackson, maybe. I think he's like Carolina congressman. He is very with it, and his questions were pretty on point. But he has a pretty substantial following on TikTok. Like, I follow this stuff. Like, I love being informed. So his questions were pretty solid. But some of those questions were like, you clearly are out of pocket. Like, you're swimming in waters you don't know anything. Like, you're here asking the questions you should have asked your intern before going into this meeting, just to get like a little bit of a grip on what you're trying to inform the 150
million. It seemed like they didn't even. It seemed like they didn't read the agenda for the day for their meetings until they were like, "Oh, the TikTok guy's here today." All right, I'll ask them some questions.
Abby and I have been talking about it a fair amount because I mean, I was mainly informed through like Mike Baker, the guy that comes on Joe Rogan every now and then, the ex-CIA guy, and his points were really valid. I mean, this is like forever ago around the back doors that TikTok was building in, but I thought they already did a private sale. Like there was already a sale that they did that created TikTok, the American company.
It never went through because I believe Microsoft was going to buy the U.S. version, and then it just never ended up happening.
Oh, then that makes a lot more sense. I thought that went through.
Hold me to it, but
right.
Me to it because if it would have went through, right, wouldn't they have just had Microsoft there in the questioning as well? Like what's going on back and forth between the two?
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I'm just curious, like, that it feels like a gross overreach at the same time. Like, I get it because, like, Huawei, when they banned the import of those cell phones, like, those just had backdoors built all in them. So, for sure, it's in America's best interest, air quotes. But...
Well, the issue, too, where it comes down to is that China doesn't even let their kids be able to use, I think under 18, they don't even allow them to use TikTok. You have to be of a certain age to use TikTok over there. Or no, I think they have a kid-friendly version, whatever it is. But then over here in the U.S., it's just wide open, right? It almost comes down to the U.S. of like, why don't you just tell TikTok, we're going to do the same thing that you're doing in China? Why do we have something different?
I mean, those dopamine drips are so refined, and it's scary, man. Like when I go to other platforms, like YouTube Shorts is pretty good. Instagram Reels doesn't do it for me. Like everything on Instagram is so polished. That's the thing that's like, it makes me feel like a piece of shit. Like I don't have my life together, and I'm seeing all these beautiful people do 0.25 second clips of all the places they're traveling, and it's like cinematic, and I'm just, eh. Then I get on TikTok and somebody's like, hey, watch my cousin go off this lawnmower at 45 miles an hour. And I'm like, yeah. Nice belly drum, son.
That's old. Yeah, TikTok feels like it's old Instagram Reels.
Yeah, right.
Really hunkering down on it.
So I don't know what they do there. I mean, you have 150 million American users, so that's got to be 70% of like available market.
And how much can they shape too, right? If China really wanted to, shape what people thought about in America, they can just shift the algorithm a little bit to be able to cater to be like, all right, we want them thinking this way for a little bit. Let's send people to create this type of content that gets blasted out onto people's feeds quicker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we already saw them do it over COVID when they shifted. Remember, it went from, what was it? It was a lot of dancing. And then over COVID, it shifted to how-to things. And so I'm pretty sure I saw someone talk about that they did that deliberately. So that's why you saw the like how-to in-home videos really boost up. And then you saw the challenges boost up during COVID. A little bit of the dancing died down. So it's like they've obviously shown they can shift how people think on the platform a little bit.
Well, you also have kind of, side note, I kind of dialed in the sound. It's the microphone. The microphone needs to be pointed a little more towards you. Right now it's like pointed straight up. You got to angler towards you.
I'm going to just...
You don't have to. Okay, that's a little R-rated.
Yeah.
Remember, if you want to watch this episode, go to Spotify. We upload the video right there for you as well as YouTube.
The good stuff's happening right now, too.
Good stuff gets in there. So one of the other things that TikTok does differently is that their algorithm just prioritizes what's getting reach. So in COVID, everyone was like fired up about DIY stuff. And those videos proliferate the internet really quickly because TikTok's serving you what it thinks you might like, versus Instagram and Facebook, it's still social media. They've changed their algorithms a bit, but it's serving you what you think it might like based off of what your friends like. It's saying this tribe kind of rolls together, so they have similar psychographics. So they're all going to be kind of similar interest. Whereas TikTok will just say like, hey, you are your own profile. We're going to serve you unless it picks up in the vicinity other TikTok users, the Bluetooth. It pings other phones in your contacts. And so then it will serve your algorithm, your feed, similar videos to the people around you. Because then it's like, oh, you're in your friend circle right now.
That's scary.
Isn't that intense? Because Abby and I noticed that, and I was like, yo, we're seeing a lot of the same videos. Like, we're just sitting in bed watching videos. And then I saw a video about that on the algorithm. And that kind of reaches into the privacy thing, where it's like, what do they have access to? What do they not?
Yeah, what if you get a weirdo in your group and you start getting some weird shit, and you're like, hey, Jimmy, hey, man, we're gonna...
That's a fun way to say Joe. Joe, we love you. But you know it's true.
Joe, your content right now is a little off the wall. We're going to need you to dial it down. All right.
Or like one of the congressmen, there was a statement they said about, when I get on there, all I'm seeing is underage girls dancing like half naked. Like that's a concern for like what that's brainwashing our children. The next clip was like everybody that knows how the TikTok algorithm works. It's like, okay, buddy.
Sir, delete your cookies. Please. Intern's like, shut the fuck up.
Dude, and I have to intentionally, when I see those videos, I have to intentionally scroll really fast to let the algorithm know, like, no, I don't want that. Because I get it. Like, what dude doesn't want to see boobs or whatever on their thing? But then it's just like, that just keeps getting served and pushed. And it's like, yeah, that's not...
Let's say you hit one video, right? all of a sudden it's just boom
It's
everywhere
like a
on your feed. You're like,
Pornhub
God damn it.
sidebar. It's just all this weird. And you're like, hey, man, I come for the hillbillies, some cooking, and facts that I'll never use in my everyday
Give
life.
me Shoe Nice. I want Shoe Nice back on my algorithm. Remember him?
Shoot nice.
Shoe Nice. He would just eat anything. Like, this was old school YouTube days. Like, he would.
Oh, yeah. He got super fat, too.
He would eat like toilet paper. I don't know. He would just eat it. And I was like, I want that type of content back on my stuff. Stop blocking it.
You know who else has made a pretty big following? What is it? BMP Pain Olympics? The dude that sat on a jar. Remember that dude?
Oh, man,
We're talking
yeah.
LimeWire days. Like
Yeah.
some OG stuff that 12-year-olds were not supposed to see. He does all these compilations with like the jar in different ways, like doing the soundtracks behind them. And I'm like, the internet's a beautiful place because anyone can truly find their corner of the world that will appreciate their kind of weird.
Christina P from Your Mom's House podcast has specifically curated her TikTok to find the weird side of TikTok. And
They
she
get
says
into
it's
some weird videos.
weird shit. But like, that's what she did, right? She curated it to be like, I only want these things.
Do you
know?
watch their podcasts?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've started watching it more now on YouTube.
I just hear
because I
about
want
it.
to see the videos.
You need to remind me. You need to send me a link and they have like a Patreon that they do even like more hardcore videos that they can't put on like their YouTube or something.
Well, they do live videos sometimes. They'll do a live episode. And so during that live episode, you pay like $5, $10, whatever it is, and it'll be on this specific day. And then it's all the hardcore stuff that they can't normally do. You can go on their website now, YMH Studios, and they have an option to rent those live options. You can go back and watch some. There's some gnarly shit on there, man. Like, there was one episode, there was like a whole thing about guys prolapsing. Like fist into the anus, back out, prolapsing over and over. That was gnarly one.
See, that's the thing though. I do too many psychedelics, so like I have to police my own mind so I can be genuinely interested. Like horror movies. I used to not love them, but I used to like them.
Yeah.
You know, like the House of a Thousand Corpse, you know, The Hills Have Eyes kind of stuff. Because you know it's fake, and then you're like, your brain has to grapple with, like, is that really fake? Because that looks really real. And then I just can't be knee deep at a festival and being maybe I want to go watch a sudden death set. And those graphics connect with some deep down bad movie I watched. And
Yeah, it's free. I mean, it's free visuals, though, you know?
that's what nightmares are all about, folks.
Yeah. Yeah. Why not?
Yeah,
Bring them to the
I
front.
just told you
Bring
why
'em to the
not.
forefront. Bring them to the forefront. Get them out there. And then, like, in the middle of a big, peak psychedelic trip, you could be like, that's not real. No, yeah, we're good. We're good.
like a black belt just wrestling with their own thoughts. Like, hey, I don't know if now's the time, but if we need to throw down, we can do it. I just know I don't want to do this.
Someone just asks you, like, you're okay? And you're just staring off cross-eyed. You're like, he's brand jiu-jitsu and he's fine.
Well, that's where you need something like Pretty Lights, right? Nice and fluffy, and you feel good. Brings you through
Pretty Lights
a ethereal journey.
has returned.
Have
Pretty
you seen
Lights
him?
has returned.
Have you seen him live?
I have seen him live before, yeah.
Yeah.
Long ago at Halloween. It was like 2015 or something, 15 or 16. Amazing show. Hell yeah. It was towards when he was really addicted to stuff, I think 2017, 18, that they said his shows were hit or miss, and a lot of times miss.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just got so bad that people were starting to complain, and he was just like, I dipped out for a while.
So he took a break because of addiction.
Yeah, hardcore addiction. So he is,
Do we know addicted to what?
It
Can't be hard in that environment to grapple onto a couple things.
was cocaine or heroin, one of those two. I just know, like, it was so bad at the shows, he was just like out of it.
Yeah.
Wasn't paying attention. So I would lean maybe more towards heroin. Don't hold me to that, but it was just his shows were just like nothing was sinking. His transitions were awful.
Yeah.
His songs were just like, this isn't even his song that he's playing now. It was just somebody else's song.
Yeah.
So he's supposedly him and his family helped him out. Friends and family went through sobriety, and now he's back and ready to start a whole new tour.
It's also surprising to see how many DJs like that I'm learning that do their tours sober. I just totally associated it with like rock star lifestyle, like of course to be able to pull that many events and whatever, like they're going to be on something. But
I
like
think they do now. Like Dylan Francis talked about that. He goes, yeah, it used to be just rage, right?
Yeah.
And I think Stevie Aoki said that too. But now you see him doing so many shows.
It's because we're getting older. They're getting older.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of them have kids now, right? Like,
Yeah.
Armin van Buren has a whole family. He doesn't even play that many shows. I don't know how Carl Cox does it. That man's a running energy drink.
Yeah. You know, I've been watching the Ultra sets when I'm working out, and that's what I did the Google YouTube Premium thing on our account, was to see, you know, am I digging this? Like while I'm working out, I have my little workout thing on the app, and then it has like the little preview window at the bottom that they charge you $15 a month to have. But that's been cool. The reason I brought that up is because I saw Hardwell. He was headlining at Ultra, and I'm like, that he back in the day, I used to love him. Now it's kind of like still mainstream and, you know, maybe not my flavor, but I'm like, I've never seen him on any other lineup, but he's headlining Ultra.
Well, I think he just gets on the big festival circuit, right? Like EDC, Ultra, Tomorrowland, Tomorrow World, you know, the big ones, right?
Right.
Once you get on that circuit, I feel like you could probably, whatever they're paying you, you're making a shit ton. And who knows if, like, another example, too, that I think of on that is, like, you know how some of the big name DJs have residencies in Vegas now?
Yeah.
Who knows what residency they have over in Europe that we just don't know about?
True.
They're like, we're just going to sit here and get paid.
Hardwell does
shit
seem
tons.
like a Europe guy. Like, I don't see him much in America.
Like, I miss Showtek. I don't even know where Showtek is. I would love to have seen one of his shows again.
Right? And I think
Dr. P,
when we
Joyride.
were thinking about being in Vegas. Loud Luxury is going to be there. And I like their shows, but I saw a couple clips, and, dude, people go in on them in their comment section. They're like,
Really?
they're like, who the fuck's ever gone to a place to requesting to see Loud Luxury? And I was like, fair point. I mean, it's never been like, I'm like, oh, I gotta go see Loud Luxury, but
But I feel like I see more. I feel like I see more people shit. Like, for example, right, there was I don't know if you heard about Ultra Ultra EDC in Brazil. Drake canceled, and then no, it was Lollapalooza down there. Drake canceled, and they replaced them with Skrillex. And so they ended up refunding people's money that they were going to see Drake instead. And everyone was like, yeah, Skrillex is probably a better decision here anyways.
Yeah.
But there were a bunch of people that were like, oh, this is horrible. Like, I'm going to see Drake, and all those, so many people. There was just so much shit talking because it's just completely different genres of people coming at you. But usually I feel like you see more shitting on, artists than you do.
Is Lollapalooza like a electronic event? Or are
Yeah,
they
it's
more like
another-
Coachella, where it's kind of a mix of everything?
It's kind of like a mix of everything. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I didn't know Lollapalooza was worldwide, so I thought it was just up in Chicago. Turns out it's a little bit everywhere.
Yeah, I didn't know. I mean, it seems like a lot of those events that have really high production value, or insert Insomniac here, are expanding.
Yeah.
You know?
Insomniac.
Yeah, they're like, we got the money. And I watched some of Skrillex show from that Lollapalooza. I don't know. I haven't seen enough of his sets to know if like that's what I'm craving. But it seems like he's moving into more of like a rhythm kind of vibe, like the drum and bass kind of stuff.
These artists, they gotta, evolve as they're going along. What's good?
What's
popular?
I just don't see it with the drum and bass, man.
Well, I think dubstep is, I think it's still there. I just think it's starting to go away as much as big as it used to be.
I never thought I would be the guy to say, like, I love dubstep. But
Yeah, me too. But he was also the godfather of it. So
Fair enough.
he's like,
He's like,
He
I got to move into
created it.
violin. I got to diversify as an artist.
I got to get out of this. I'm the guy who created it. Y'all followed me. Get out of here. You see that? What happened with it with Red Rocks, the tickets?
No.
So it came out like, I don't know, a month or two ago that he was going to play at Red Rocks at the end of April, which is huge, right? To like get booked that soon, that quick to a Red Rocks show is crazy. So then
It was like a 5-hour set or something, right? Like it's just
5-hour
Skrillex.
set. He's probably just going to do his entire lineup from like start to finish.
Just go through the whole discography.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing. He's probably, I mean, that would make sense for a 5-hour set. And then AEG, the ticketing company he went through, it got loaded with scammers coming in there and just wrecked the system.
Mm-hmm. I could see that.
I wish an artist, a big name artist one day would just put on, like, go at a big event, just put on like, hey, I'm going to do this event here. Like, allow scammers to go into it, but then have something in the fine print that says you cannot resell this ticket. And then all those tickets have an algorithm in it or something that just doesn't allow it to be resold. So all those scammers then get stuck with 10, 20 tickets that they have. And he still goes and plays the show, but he makes it the worst show ever. Like, floods the floor, turns the heat up, no lights. It's just him standing there with one light. Auto just makes it
that
horrible.
would really suck for the 1% of people that get in. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah,
Live Nation and
but they could resell through like Facebook or something. But for a scammer getting like 10 or 20 tickets, that'd be such a pain in the ass trying to resell through Facebook.
I don't know why like someone dedicates so much time and effort to being a scalper. Like you're not making that much money, and it's so much effort to go
It's
through
not
that.
on them. It's just a bot. They just have bots doing it for them now. It's not much effort for them at all. So they're like, oh yeah, I set up my own. It's some kid. It's like I coded my own bot to go create it. It took an hour of my time to create it. It goes in and does the work for me. Oh, I got a paycheck at the end of this for a couple grand. Cool. Thanks.
That is the thing
buy
about
Jolly
AI
Ranchers
that
now.
kind of intimidates me a bit. It's like we are totally approaching a dawn of where you need to learn a new computer to rapidly accelerate in your industry, or you don't, and you can kind of stay where you're at. But it's like learning the kind of ins and outs with sales in the beginning, right? It's like, hey, yeah, you could make 8-9 hours of cold calls a day, or you could learn how to do like mass text messaging, mass voicemail drops, follow-up sequences.
I've looked into that a little bit, and that's tough though, because that starts turning into the same. Then, like, let's say this company does it. I looked into it. I looked into the ChatGPT. I said, from this company, create one. From this company, create one, and a competitor. It was the same message, like a template, over and over and over again.
Not quite on like the ChatGPT, like the other functions that they're plugging into it. So like with HubSpot, the CRM, there's one AI that's coming out. So it's not quite there at present moment, but in like the next year or two is what I'm kind of referencing, where I saw this AI dev team came out with a plugin for HubSpot. So rather than, if you have a call with someone, then you have to label their tag and then do like a follow-up sequence and then tell the time. And like all of these are just random buttons that, maybe take 30, 45 seconds. It just has a window there and you just tell it. Or you can do voice to text, right? You just hold down command on your computer key and just tell it, hey, follow up with this person, whatever. And it just does it for you and moves on to the next prospect. So you're saving over the course of a day, you're saving like an hour or two. And all that kind of stuff starts compounding over the course of a month and a year. So that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about, where it's like those little efficiencies will definitely add up and make your life way easier. It's just, it's like learning how to type all over again. You just got to take the time to do it once it comes out.
So it's going to get to the point where someone actually just calls somebody and they're like, are you a robot? No, I'm just calling you.
Like when you write a letter to somebody, how cool does it feel to get a letter, like a handwritten
letter?
note?
Yeah, how often do you get letters? This is all junk mail nowadays. But now they have robots writing letters for people to send them out.
I'm guilty. I do it.
I always like sending postcards when we go to national parks.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get a postcard and just write something, and there's usually a post office nearby, and mail it out.
Dude, $1 million
This is a nice
idea.
little
We
thing.
need to put your belly on a Tennessee postcard. Nice belly drums. Just got a man standing next to his car at a gas station.
Just leaning on the truck.
Nice
Belly drums
drum.
calendar. Nice belly drums calendar. Just different bellies. Maybe one by the creek fishing. Just one out.
Best bellies of the year. Dude fly fishing. Dude cutting some wood.
Cutting some wood. Putting a shirt on in the morning.
Drinking
Lumberjack.
some coffee.
Drinking some coffee. A
Just
yawning
contemplating
one.
his
Like,
day, just
yeah. Just like a yawning one. Just the one smack.
I think we're on to something.
When you take a break when you take a break from your belly drums, just a beer on it.
Southern cup holder.
Introducing the new belly drums cup holder when you just need to take a break from your good old times.
One day when we feel fancy about financing this venture, Michael still owes me a calendar. He lost a bet to me about 5 years ago that if he didn't sell a certain amount, if I paid for the photographer, he would have to do a full calendar bikini shoot. And that's something I'm still
Welcome to our
dearly
first
holding on to.
merchandise. Ham Dog's calendar.
Ham Dog's calendar.
It's just different versions of him smoking a blunt or hitting the volcano.
No, but it has to be in a bikini.
But in a bikini. Yeah, for
Right.
sure. But it's like a weed bikini.
I'm willing to
Like
go
two
as far as to finance a Brazilian wax for him too. Really clean it up.
Yeah. 2 weed pasties right over the
Mm.
nipples.
Yeah, we got to be careful. I might get too excited here. I don't want to,
Well, I still got to make those metal cards, the 10-shot things. Remember that? I think I'm lowering that to 5. By the way, I think we're not going to do 10. I think I'll do 5, and that just becomes a little bit more appropriate.
But a deal is a deal. And
Oh, you want to stick to 10 shots?
no, I don't. But at the end of the day, my integrity. So for everyone listening, this was an episode, 2 years ago, something like that.
2 years ago, yeah.
Where I don't know why I brought up that. Might have been born out of, I don't know, just
That was
pure
your
stupidity.
Yeah, that was yours, and I jumped on it. I was like, hell
I
yeah!
sure did.
So what it was is if you carry around basically a card, 5-shot, 10-shot card, whatever. Let's say 10-shot, the original, and it can only be used once, but you can pull it out at any time with your buddy and drop it down, and that person has to take 10 shots of whatever the person would like to choose. They can choose it.
Or
That's what we
you could
determined.
get the card made so when they laser etch it, you can do it across the center, so you could break it in half and do a 5er.
So you could do a 5er, break it in half, and do the 5er.
Yeah.
Someone did so, and it was like you can't do it at weddings, you can't do it at a job function, and then something else. I forgot what the third one
Yeah,
was.
it's just
but
gentleman rules there. It's like, hey, come on, let's not, wreck something that's
Someone-
out of pocket.
Someone brought up a good idea to me the other day when I was talking about it. They go, "Okay, what if you drop it down? It's not a one-time
How often
use,
are you
drop it
talking
down."
about this? Is this something you're really fermenting? Like you like?
Oh,
to
for
just-
sure. I've already got the logo made. I went to Beth. I got the logo made on it. I already had the metal credit card company to use. Oh yeah, this is coming to fruition for sure. So someone had an idea though that I brought out too. They're like, awful idea, but let me throw in my input. They said, okay, what if you throw it down on the person, but now that person that had to do the 10 shots gets the card. So now it's just a passed around thing. So it's not a one-time use. It can be passed around, but now
But that person could
had to
turn
do
right
it,
back
yeah.
around and hit you with it.
But that would just be the rule. You can't do it on the same day. Can't be a same day use.
Yeah, but that could just wreck a vacation too. Same
Yeah,
day.
going back and forth like that.
Because the way I'm thinking about, if you break it in half, 5 shots isn't crushing anybody's day, right?
10 shots crushing a day.
10 shots is crushing a
Well,
day.
that's why it's like I don't expect to use it within the next 5 years. This is like a years down the road type thing. You just have that thing in their back pocket, and it's almost to the point you forget that you have it until it gets thrown on you, and you're like, oh. But the great part is you can recruit people over time. You're like, we got this thing. You can be in on it.
That's true. That's true. It's like the game of life. You just kind of see if anyone wants to join this fucking stupid game we decided to play.
You were like, you were like, ever heard of the game of life? Nope.
I'm glad you picked up on that reference.
Don't want to either.
If you've heard of the game of life, please DM us. I'm curious who out there knows of this game. That one reaches back. I don't know when I started playing that, but yeah, let's move on. I don't want to give too many details away from that. So one of the other things that I was interested in getting your feedback on is, do you see how like new states are opening up more and more cannabis stuff? When do you think that's going to become federally legal? Like, what's it going to take for that to become federally legal?
What's crazy is that I thought it actually would happen during this administration.
Yeah,
because that was a huge promise that they made.
That was a big like campaign promise, wasn't it?
And they had every opportunity to do it the whole time. They never did it. Yeah. So anyway, when is it going to be federally legal? I would probably say within the next 10 years. I don't think the next 5. I think the next 10.
Yeah. I mean, it could be a great farewell thing that Biden could attempt to get in. There's no shot he realistically sees himself winning another term. Right?
No way. I mean, what? They just arrested Trump. Like, they just almost solidified, like, a great chance of him winning again, for sure.
What, Trump or Biden?
Trump. No, Biden's gone. Nobody wants Biden.
You said they just arrested him. They've almost solidified.
They arrested Trump. They made it even a good chance that he could win again. Because they had nothing on him. They released him within 24 hours because they had nothing on him back to Fort Lauderdale. You know, it was all just for show that the guy. Okay, so the New York's prosecutor, one of his campaigns years ago was like, "I'm going to get Trump to jail." This whole entire time, he has done nothing except tried to make that happen. So he found like this weird loophole to make it happen to at least get him there. They went through the process and then had nothing to charge him on. So he got him to jail, but nothing ever came to fruition from it. So, like, I guess he honored his campaign on what he was going to do, but New York is crap.
But I thought that's still an ongoing thing. It's not like he just got there and the charges are dropped. Like, they have to go through the whole process still. It was like 34 felonies he's being charged with that he pled not guilty to.
Yeah, and there's nothing there. Like, if you go through all the things, like, they even asked the prosecutor.
I mean, I've heard that. I've heard, like, hey, what's there? And I also
They even asked the prosecutor what the charges are. And then he keeps, like, wording things around during the interview, not being able to say what the charges are. It's like, all right, man. Like, you could have helped your state this whole entire time with other things, but instead you decided to.
It's fucking politics in a nutshell.
If you didn't think Trump was so good or was going to win anyways, why have you been going after him this whole time? So
I don't know. That'll be an interesting one to see if because he's got Ron DeSantis who's been getting more and more momentum, and
that's going to be interesting to see. I'm excited between the two. What's going to happen between that? I want to see that debate. That's the debate I want to see. I know Trump is going to destroy everybody in debate. I want to see that debate. That's the only person I feel like could actually go toe to toe with him for sure.
But the thing in a lot of fronts, I'm like, hey, I really like the way that Ron DeSantis like stands up to the mainstream current, whatever. But then I also get really concerned on like the drug side of things, because his whole base is built around like going against wokeness.
Yeah, but I don't think he's entirely against cannabis stuff either in Florida. Like I've seen him, they bring it up to him. He's like, I'm not entirely against it. It's just not a top concern to me right now, he said.
What are his top concerns? Because I know he's just like fucking up the public school system with just bringing like bullshit. I mean, it's just like, I mean, I hate to say this, but it does feel like very transphobic, where it's not the whole debate of like, hey, men and women are just biologically different. It's like going so deep into the weeds when you want to talk about like, hey, we could be doing a lot of things with our time, but to preserve his base and to like do the dog and pony show of like, look at what I'm doing for you, which I get it's part of politics. You know, you got people have values not based in any reality that means getting shit done to help the genuine populace. That's fine. You made a lot of money and now you're old and you want to fucking vote for whoever you want to vote for. Totally fine. Just some of the stuff that sucks up their bandwidth. I'm like, that's what you're worried about?
They hit key points. That's all they talk about when it comes around. Like, look, I decided to make myself independent, so that way it can get, when you get stuff in the mail and everything, you get it from both sides, which I liked. I wanted to see both. And if you ever look at them side by side, it's always the same bullshit on each side. It's just, you know, this. Same thing on this side. This. It's like, what about all the in between? What about saving us some tax dollars? What about this? Like, it's always like, we're going to save you tax dollars. Like, all right, let's go back to high school. Can you give me a 3-page essay here? Put it out and explain to me how you're going to be doing that. I would like to know,
dude,
what you're doing here.
Holding a politician to like succinct words is like grabbing a slippery eel that's shocking you, and you just want to let go of it. You're like, okay, I heard you. They're like, no, but like when you factor in and there's so many variables. I was like, shut the fuck up. Like,
Well, just give me how you're going to do it. I don't understand why they can never explain how they're going to do it. They're like, well, you know, once we get in there, we can do it. Like.
And I'll tell you, this is controversial, but a dude that I think did explain it pretty well was Bernie Sanders. He would actually go into the weeds, whether people liked it or not. He would explain where things came from. I don't agree with, you know.
I don't agree with a lot of it, but you're right. He did explain. He was like, all right,
I don't know if it's a lot or some,
but
there was a decent amount of stuff. I'm like, hey, don't do that.
One of the things I did think was interesting when he was talking about was like each little sale or something, you take a penny of it or half a penny of something, and then you put it towards healthcare or something. I don't know what it was, to try to create the universal healthcare system.
Those were stock trades. Every individual trade, it was like a quarter of a penny.
He's like, you take a little bit of that, and then you could create the universal healthcare system from that. And I was like, that's kind of interesting, to say the least, how you would do that.
When you start pulling at threads like that, it's like, we could create universal healthcare so quickly if we just uncoupled lobbying from like the insurance companies from lobbying and the insurance companies from healthcare, right? Because they're kind of in cahoots with each other. They're literally like, have you ever called about like with the knee surgeries or whatever and called and negotiated the prices? Have you ever negotiated your bill after the fact?
Yeah. Yeah, it's. I mean, the health companies control the government stuff for sure. Government has no control over that. The pharmacies have no control over that. It's all run by these big companies and run by the health. Now, I'll give you the caveat to the universal healthcare, right? So I do a lot of Canadian benefit sales, and that's great that they have the universal healthcare. It's just everyone thinks that like with the universal healthcare, they're just going to be able to get anything they want and be able to get into the medical offices right away. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of people in America have that mindset that they think that that's what that is. Like, oh yeah, I break my leg, I can get right in the emergency room, get what I need. I'm going to get surgery tomorrow and it's all free. It's like, no, that's not how that works. Like it takes months to get into a doctor's office, and God forbid you need a specialist. It's going to take even longer. And then it's not covering all it's not covering dental, it's not covering vision, disability, life insurance, all this other stuff. Like that all has to be taken care of privately. 95% of health insurance goes through employers in Canada. caveat to that though is it is far cheaper, for private insurance in Canada. So with the help with it, but you do pay a higher tax because of it. You have a good chunk of your tax come out of it to pay towards that. But there are benefits and caveats. It just a lot of people think I believe that want the universal think it's going to cover everything and we never have to take care of anything else. You're like, no.
So if you broke your leg in Canada, what's the, you go to the ER.
Severe
happens, go to the ER. They're going to take care of you.
For sure, yeah. I mean, you still go to the. it's just like here, right? Like you go to the ER, they still have to take care of you. You're just now you still have to wait hours when you go into the ER. It does depend, of course, on where you're at. If you're in a major city and you want to see a specialist now for your broken leg to go have surgery, I mean, you're looking at a while unless you're on somebody's good list and can get bumped up there. If I wanted to have knee surgery, I have to go see the specialist. It's not like here where I can, because of my insurance, I can call the specialist. I'm there in a couple weeks. All right, let's schedule the surgery then within a month. And that's even here with private insurance. It's like a couple weeks, a couple months. Up there on the universal, if you're on that, you're on the waiting list with your entire city. Not with that doctor. It's with the entire city and then wherever you get assigned to for a doctor from there. Now, if you have your private insurance, you get right in because the doctor's getting paid right away from that. So you do get in better if you do have private insurance. It's just because they have the universal, and a lot of people are on universal, so they don't have to so they can have some sort of medical coverage. The price now there are only like 2 or 3 carriers in Canada as well. It's not like here where you have Aetna, UHC, Blue Shield California. You have Tufts. You have like all local. There's like Canada Life, Manulife, and like another one. And that's all there is for your big ones up there.
How
so
much
you are
debt
like,
is
limited.
Canada in? Do you know?
I have no clue. I have no clue on that one.
Because, we spend so much money on our military every year.
So much money.
And it's
We're getting a little higher every year, too.
And I have no idea what the game plan is on even attempting to rectify that budget. Even attempting. The interest is so out of control.
That's what's scary right now because we do have a lot of our funding is built around, defense, right? Like we put so much towards defense because we make so much money back on defense, right? So you have all of our, Lockheed Martin, Honeywell, whatever the other one is, they're creating missiles and war machines that they can sell to our allies, and we're making tons of kickback money from that. Now, I wonder what's going to happen now that all these other big countries are creating the BRIC. Is that what it is? BRIC is going to be they're getting away from the U.S. dollar and creating.
Were you telling me about that or someone else? The whole OPEC.
It's big right now. You probably heard about it multiple places.
Yeah.
And so now, because the U.S. dollar won't be used for most of the transactions for oils or whatever, trading. Now it's going to be all from defense funding. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I wonder if it's going to make our dollar more valuable or less valuable now that it's more contained.
I have no idea. I don't know macroeconomics well to even venture a guess.
Yeah.
I just saw some basic math of someone breaking down. I think it was actually that congressman who was talking about, some of the proposed, Biden was wanting to inject another $2 billion into the economy, or $2 trillion. And he was he just did very basic arithmetic and was look at the interest rate on our debt. And I think it was if we allocated $2 trillion to paying off the debt for the next 20 years, it wouldn't even be enough.
Jesus.
It was because of the compounding interest, right? And it's just
yeah.
The world owes so much money to everyone. It's what's going on?
Who owes what? Yeah. Does anyone know where it's going from? I feel like
who's the world in debt to? The world, the global debt, I think is something like $170 trillion or something. Who are we in debt to? The aliens? Who does this go to?
You're reading off the sheet. of how much debt you owe a country, and your fingers just hovering over that button. Like, sure we owe you a little debt.
Well, it's like the latest jet that we developed, F-35 or something like that.
Yeah.
Cost $600 billion just to develop the fucker.
God damn.
$600 billion.
Just to develop that. That's a lot of engineers.
You couldn't tell me somewhere in there we
Drinking
couldn't have
coffee.
shaved off a couple billion. You know?
I know, right?
It's
We could cut a couple corners here, guys. Like,
I mean, I get it. Nanoparticles, holograms, AI, sure.
they're going to copy us anyways. Let's not go all out here. Like, let's shave it down a little bit.
I mean, I'm just saying, I don't want to be unreasonable, but the fact that I have to be genuinely concerned if I'm going to get in a car wreck, if I can afford
we-
an ambulance ride.
Do the jet fighters need air condition? It's cold up there. You know, we can.
But I bet flying is pretty
Can't-
fucking sweet.
All right, guys, we got to take away Taco Tuesday. All right, guys, it's going to be shitty Monday.
What military person have you talked to that was like, oh no, they're actually they're pretty astute with the finances. They watch it, real close. Every military man or woman I've met, they're like, dude, you should see how we blow money. It is.
Oh,
unreal.
yeah. All of them. They're like, oh, yeah, we need this. Just go ask for it, I guess. Or, well, they blow money, but it's not on taking care of the military guys and women, right? Like, they have shitty bunkers and all this other things that I sleep on, but they're like, we need more ammo. Just go get it. Back there, put some more in.
I would be
You know?
curious to see how much money goes to fuel, ammo, and bombs, which you can kind of lump those together. But like, yeah, what if that is going to, like, where is it going? That's got to be public information too, right? I'm sure we can pull that up.
Ukraine. All of it's going there. Most of it.
Where do you stand on the Ukraine thing? Like, do you think we should be as involved as we are? Would you backed it off, not got involved at all? What do you think?
I would have, at this point, probably backed it off by now. I mean, because here's the thing, like, sure, Russia is not unleashing their full force, and everyone's saying that, like, oh, yeah, like, they're losing. But, I mean, Ukraine's a small country. They only have so many men, and you're just going to keep sending them money, and if you keep sending them money, you keep allowing their men to die, right? And eventually they're just going to run out of people unless you start sending troops. Eventually it's going to come to the point where troops have to start being sent to Ukraine to provide support. I mean, that's not a war I think we should be fighting for them, right? Like, they're the ones who broke away from Russia to create their own thing. Now, they did not certify themselves as a country, and that's why all the bullshit has gone through every other country. That's why you can run so many banks and all the governments run their bullshit through there. But, like, hey, y'all created this as your choice. Y'all wanted to be independent. Like, it's time to fight like it. Like, we did it. 1776, baby. Like,
Shout out.
shout out. Hey, you got to learn to do it at some point. And so, I mean, if you're just getting help from every other country, are you really gathering independence, or now are you going to be stuck in debt to everybody that has helped you across the board?
By the way,
Think about it.
think we did get a fair amount of help from Canada and France.
We did. France, we for sure did. Canada, we for sure did. They broke through the barriers and stuff. But we had to literally fight for it to get to a point before they could help us, right? Like, we had to fight. Like, if you read a lot of the battles and stuff, we had to break through a lot of barriers in order for them to help us. But we are fully funding Ukraine. Like, Ukraine is being fully funded by other countries right now.
Yeah.
They're not. They have no businesses that are able to work. They have no tax or economy to help them right now internally. They're being funded by completely everybody else, and I think it's being used as a test ground for what's to come. I think Russia could be doing it, and the U.S. are doing it, or like, let's Cold War it here and just see what happens.
Well, I saw a good point. I like to watch the military guys that break some of those things down, like the logistics or what's going on. And one of the guys that used to be decently high up in the military is like, no war has looked like the last war. So World War I looked distinctly different than World War II. And he goes, so why would we think that World War III would look anything like World War II? And I think we've kind of entered into the era of World War III where it might not be full-blown World War, but it's like this weird proxy war that we have. So you have to bolster up your intranets, internet, anything to do with like your infrastructure. And it's just this, it's proxy wars because everyone's got a fucking nuke. All the big powerhouses have nukes, right? So
yeah. Well, I think I've heard too from a lot of military guys that our system's being attacked every day. He goes, "You don't think that we're being attacked? Yeah. Like every day we're being bombarded. Our whole infrastructure is being bombarded every day. If someone were able to shut down our satellites, we'd be screwed." And he goes, "Don't get me wrong. We're doing the same thing right back to them. Like." We're always hacking their system to see if they did it to us, could we do it to them, right? So it's always hacking. Like, could we do it or could we not do it? Like,
just testing, just poking, just seeing.
Poking, just seeing, just in case.
Hey, what you got
poking
there?
The bear. Poking.
We don't like to penetrate, but we like to lift up the skirt. See what's going on.
We want to just lift it up a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, it's just, there's always like that weird thing where you hear, like, you always hear these big infrastructure things, right? When what was it when the FAA got hacked or something several months ago?
Oh,
remember
yeah.
that, like a whole and everyone was like, "Oh, it's a glitch." Like, no, somebody hacked and lifted the veil and made it through, and then somebody either someone got droned somewhere, I'm sure, but
rabbit hole I went down recently was about 9/11. Got hooked on a good 9/11 rabbit hole last week, and I was just like,
it always comes up random too. You just find you're like, oh, that's a new video. 5 hours later, fuck.
Well, the fucking video that got me, and when you're in free fall, you're 40 minutes in, you're like, I'm budgeting another 20 minutes to get to the 1 hour and 1 minute mark, and you're like, I can push this another half an hour. So the fucking video that got me was this dude that survived falling 12 stories in the Trade Center, 22, something crazy. He was in the stairwell, and the tower collapsed on top of him and just pancaked him out. So, like, the whole thing fell, and then once it was done, he was just sitting in the stairwell, and he looked around, and he was like, totally thought he was in heaven, or he died. Right? And he starts checking, and then he said his ankle was broken, and the pain was like, oh, I'm still alive. And then the firefighters were, going through the rumble trying to find people, and he like hollered to one of them, and the guy was like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "What the fuck? What do you mean?" And it took a minute. The firefighter thought he was one of them, like a volunteer or something up there. He's like, "Hey, man, I think I just survived that." And the guy was like, "What?" He was like, "Yeah, man, I I work in the Trade Center." And he's like, "Oh, dude, hang tight. We're coming to get you." Like the whole thing fell, and it just happened to like open, on the side and expose him. And so that was the video that got me. And I had to watch the guy's whole life story, and then went down a little bit of there was another plane that was supposed to take off that didn't. And I didn't know that. There was like a fifth plane or something like that. And
speaking of the people that fell too, is like I read up on something recently. There's a story of the black tag woman.
The black tag woman.
Yeah, so what I read was that I guess when there's a mass casualties that happen, there's a paramedic that goes around at first and they tag people. Like all these bodies or whoever, and it's like white is like injured, doing okay, gonna survive. Like yellow's like
triage,
attention. Triage, yeah. It's just it helps the people coming behind know where to go.
Right.
And it's a story of the paramedic that like got there, and he was going around tagging. And he came across, and this was after the plane had come through. It wasn't before like towers fell. It was like the plane came through, and there was a lady with like obviously cut in half, not doing good. But, like, he saw that, but the lady's like, I'm still alive. Like, and he was like, oh, yeah, someone's coming. And then, like, put the thing on her. but everyone else was black tag, black tag, black tag. But she like survived that fall somehow from way up. And she's like, I don't know if she was in a plane, if she got blown out by the thing, but he talks about it in the story. And you can look him up. He's like, I'm a paramedic. This is where she was located during that time. Yeah.
Did she survive?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not survive. Because it was before the falls and everything, right?
Oh, okay.
She was just going around tagging, and then all of a sudden the towers collapsed. No way.
Yeah, dude. Because then I also had to go down a little bit of rabbit hole around Bush. You know, you got to follow that up with some interviews. You know, him throwing the fastball out when he pitched. He was like, I practiced for a week before that. I had to throw some heat.
The one that always gets me is, well, the two that always get me are the owner of the Twin Towers got terrorist insurance like a month before or something like that. And you're like, all right, that's obviously crazy. And then the 7th building, they said it was because of fires, but of course that housed a ton of debt it housed a ton of the CIA information that's been collected over years that just gets wiped away. Same thing with the Pentagon, where it got hit, was holding all the debt supposedly that we had that just gets read off now, gone. You're like, oh, that's crazy.
And the plane that fell out of the sky or whatever, and the debris field is like a mile wide or something. Yeah. They're like, dude, what plane falls and the debris spreads a mile? It's like,
right?
No, that plane got shot out the sky.
Yeah, that's a shot out the sky play for sure. There's no way that thing's.
What gets me, the reason that one gets me the most is because in elementary school, I went to a very patriotic elementary school, and our music teacher woke up in the middle of the night and wrote this beautiful song about it. And like the choir would sing it about, you know, I think they got invited to the White House to sing this at some point after I'd moved schools or whatever. But yeah, like the people standing up and, you know, saying like "not today" kind of thing, or this is America. No. So Donald Glover's on the plane.
Donald Glover's. This is America.
Don't catch you slipping.
They caught us slipping though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was an inside job, but if I do know something about America, even in a moment of crisis, we are willing to capitalize.
We're really good at wiping debt in various different ways.
I mean, you know, like here's the deal. Some of those top brass folks, they think so logically that they're like, Mr. President, I know this is a terrible time, but I also need you to sign this document. Okay.
Where's my ice cream, though? That'll be your reward, Mr. President, after you sign these papers.
Oh, yeah, dude. And the video of Bush being notified while he's reading a book to children. And so the guy, his advisor, like the top security dude that has to tell him. So when the first plane hit, Bush was in an interview and he was like, yeah, we just all thought it was like a crop duster, like a little Cessna hit. And he's like, man, that's a tragedy. You know, it's just kind of like in the field of a president, it's like bad shit's happening every day. And so he's just like,
damn,
my heart goes
that
out to
sucks.
him. And then the second plane hits. So like everyone, all of his advisors were under the assumption of like the first plane was like a small plane. And then the second plane hits. And then they're like, oh no, this is a terrorist attack. Like we're under attack kind of thing. So then the dude that has to go up and tell, he's like, man, I really didn't want to tell the president at that moment. He was like, we were really hoping like the book was about to be done. And so he goes up and tells the president, and you're watching the dude's narrating the moment. And he's like, it's interesting because every other president before entering into a war has had moments to like bake, to prepare thoughts, kind of collect themselves, how they're going to present themselves to the world. He goes, so I'm sitting here watching the top security advisor tell the president, and it was the videographer, the photographer. He goes, so I'm capturing a moment that very few presidents have ever been in, like of any nation, where it's on their front doorstep and they have to process it in front of the entire nation.
That was a deer in headlights. for sure.
I mean,
Moment.
what are you gonna
Trying
do?
to process everything, what he's being told.
And then he was like, "I got to finish this book. I gotta find out what happens to Bambi." He did say, he was like, "I got to finish the book." He's like, "I wanted to keep my composure." He's like, "I didn't want to jump out of the chair and sprint right in action," because he's like, that also sets a tone of how we react. So he goes, "I had to collect myself in real time." He was like, "I'm going to wait for the appropriate moment. I'm going to finish this, and then we're going to go address the nation." And I'm like,
yeah.
dude, pretty appropriate. You could have left the book, but I mean, to each his own. You know, there's a reason I'm not president, so I hear you.
And in the end, kids, we're going to change it up. But Bambi bombed Al Qaeda. All right? Y'all have a good one now.
That might be our title here. Bambi bombed Al Qaeda. Spell it Al-Qaeda.
Al Qaeda.
Al-Qaeda.
Queso.
Hey, Dylan, you ready for this one?
Yes.
You ready to land the plane?
That's the title of it. Land the plane.
I'm so sorry. Well, folks, if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with someone you love, someone you like, maybe someone you don't. And
maybe you don't for this one.
Consider subscribing. It helps us help you, lets us know what episodes resonate with you the most. And if there's guests you'd like to see on the show, feel free to DM us at the Professional Sippy Podcast, and we will take that in consideration. So, until next time, we love you all. Dylan? All right.